And welcome to another edition of This Week in Footy. I'm John Donohoe. He's Peter. No one can pronounce his last name, so don't worry about it. Pete,
Tseros. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
How did you see Nab Challenge Week 1?
Okay, Collingwood impressed me, and the Tigers didn't impress me that much, but the young players did play well. St Kilda really impressed me. I have to admit,
You wrote them off last week.
I wrote them off. They are definitely the most improved side so far in the NAB Challenge. Doesn't mean too much, but
There's only been a week of NAB Challenge, though.
I know, in the NAB Challenge they look pretty good so far. It's been a week, but whatever.
It's really good to hear you praise them for it.
It's the first time, and it's going to be the last time. Collingwood defeated the Hawks by 44 points, but don't get it too excited, Collingwood fans. It is really early, and it's not even the season yet. West Coast defeated Carlton by 31 points. No surprise there. Brisbane only defeated St Kilda by 3 points. As I said, credit to the Saints there. And the Dogs, unfortunately, defeated the Tigers by 22 points. But in all fairness, the Dogs did pretty much go out their full strength, while the Tigers probably weren't even half strength.
Absolutely. And in the other games, the Gold Coast beat Geelong by 8 points up in Townsville. Really strong showing by the Gold Coast. We'll get back to them in a minute. And the Adelaide Crows beat North Melbourne by 10 points. Pretty good showing from both sides. Didn't see too much of this game, but Eddie Betts apparently tore it apart, and the two new recruits for North Melbourne really had good games as well. So should we get stuck into Collingwood Hawthorn first? We'll analyse that a little bit first.
Who impressed you in that game?
Yeah, really impressed by young Jed Anderson. He had 22 disposals, I believe. Going at about 90% efficiency, I think it was as well. So he's stepped up from last year. The old firm, Sam Mitchell had a blinder as well. Jack Gunston kicked a few goals. Will Langford picked up where he left off in that grand final. He had a really strong start. Captain for the day for Collingwood, Steele Sidebottom, had a really good day. He had 23 disposals. Jordan De Goey, I thought, impressed. Didn't have all that many disposals, but I thought he showed a bit in the game, in his first game. He was obviously a high draft pick. And Tommy Langdon as well. He's another one who's impressed, obviously coming off his big year last year at the same time. So they were pretty good performers for those two teams. Now, West Coast and Carlton, how did you see this game?
I didn't watch too much of the game, but I did notice that the Blues, they didn't look like they took too much out of last year, disappointment-wise. They just didn't go that extra step. I don't know. I know, it's NAB Challenge. It means nothing. But at the same time, I think it's alarm bells for the Blues there.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew Gaff, he's a gun. He'll have a really good 2015. He had 25 disposals. Really good start to his NAB Challenge campaign.
Yeah, but he was going to be a star for a very long time. His third or fourth year, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? He was straight into that West Coast side, and he was performing from his first game. So, you know, good on him. I can't wait to see him. He's a hard nut sort of player, and I really like him.
Yeah, Brownlow medalist Matt Prittis, he had a good game. He only had 7 kicks, but he went wild with the handballs. 16 handballs. So he had a really good day out. A really strong showing coming off his Brownlow medal. Obviously, for Carlton, Ed Curnow had 18 disposals. Zach Tui had 19. Not really many standouts for the Blues, but, you know, it's still early.
I think Ed Curnow is a player that doesn't get too much recognition. I think he's a great player. I mean, he was a rookie-listed player that got picked up. He pretty much got picked up for nothing as a mature-age rookie. And I don't think he gets enough credit for what he brings to the game. Doesn't get a lot of games, I've noticed, which is definitely a disappointment. But I think he's a genuine player, and I reckon he's part of their best 22. You know, coming off the bench or something like that.
Absolutely. Moving on to Brisbane and St Kilda. Now, I was pretty impressed with my boys' performance. I'll get to some standout.
They didn't get thumped. It's
no,
only
they didn't
3
get
points,
thumped.
not 30 points.
No, I know, and yeah. I'll get to some of my boys in a sec. But Brisbane, Dane Beams, he started his Brisbane career in blistering fashion. He had 23 disposals. Sorry. Louis Taylor had 16 and had a really strong showing. Kicked a few goals. As well as Dane Zorko, who is going to be an absolute star. He had 16 disposals for the Lions, so not a bad start for Brisbane. Didn't score in the final quarter, which was a bit worrying. So they've got a bit of work to do. On the other hand, St Kilda, you can't read too much into it. Obviously, it's NAB Challenge, and St Kilda, you know, probably destined for another tough year. But a few of their young fellas and a few of their old blokes showed a bit this week. Jaron Geary, coming back from an elbow injury, obviously, kicked a goal. He had 27 disposals, which was an absolute showing, a great showing for the day after coming back from an elbow.
It's a pretty good effort for a NAB Challenge. Most players usually don't play the full game, and 27 disposals, a pretty good effort for, again, a NAB Challenge game. And they're shorter games as well, so good on him.
Absolutely. Jack Nunes, he starred. I told you about him last week, and I don't think you listened to me all that well.
I don't listen to you when you talk
No, that's
about
true. But, mate, Jack Nunes, you watch. He's going to have a huge 2015 campaign. He had 21 disposals. Lee Montagna had a very good game.
As usual.
With 25 of his own. And Paddy McCartan had a strong showing as well, the number 1 draft pick. Didn't have all that many disposals. He had 10 disposals, but kicked a goal and looked strong and looked good and took some strong marks.
That's what you want from a young forward. He's not going to be that player that's going to go out there, kick 3-4 goals every week. He's going to be that player that kicks 1, kicks 2, gets a few marks here and there. But the next year, hopefully, he'll improve. I think he'll be better as the season progresses.
Absolutely. Looking to put him in that Nick Riewoldt role when Nick Riewoldt retires. Now, the Dogs unfortunately beat your Tigers. You came into uni crying the other day saying, oh, the season's over, you know. I'm not a Tigers supporter anymore. I want to go for Gold Coast because they're on the rise and stuff like that. So, look, stick with them, mate, because it's only NAB 1. And look, if you come in crying next week, I don't know if I'll be able to deal with you again.
I think this is the first time that St Kilda have had a better week than Richmond. This is why you're talking about this.
Well,
but no, the Dogs really impressed me. Really big blow with Liberatore.
Yeah,
he's a huge blow.
ACL.
2014 Best and Fairest winner. The guy we know is going to be a freak. Unfortunately, he's done his ACL. Hopefully, he'll come back bigger and better next year. There were a lot of good players. Stringer had a brilliant last quarter for the Dogs.
Jackson McRae had a great game with 27 disposals.
That's right. The Dogs have a lot of positives considering they've lost pretty much their 2 best on-ballers for the past 10 years, Cooney and Griffin. I know you're not a big fan of Cooney, but you know, Brownlow medalist, All-Australian. You can't just lose that quality of a player and not be hurting a little bit. But they look all right going through the midfield.
Absolutely. Well, Luke Dalhouse will go through the midfield. He had 22 disposals and kicked a goal. So he's going to be a big one for them to probably fill that role left by Liberatore now. He's sharp. He can weave in and out of people. So he's ready for a big year. Matthew Boyd, former captain, he had 21 disposals. So he's getting back to a bit of form after a bit of injury plagued him last year. Mitch Wallace, Liam Picken and Bontempelli all had really good games as well. Good to see footy back at the Whitten Oval as well, wasn't it? It looked pretty nice on the weekend.
Yeah, it did look pretty nice. Now, we haven't talked a bit about Richmond. I
was going to skip Richmond.
No,
it was irrelevant when they lost.
Anthony Miles killed it.
Yeah, he had 21 disposals.
22
disposals.
For the amount of game time he got, it looks like he's going to have another ripping 2015 season. McBean didn't do too bad. I know you're not a big fan of McBean. I like McBean. I think this guy is going to make his debut this year, and I think he's going to be.
Let me get his stats up here. 4 kicks, 2 handballs, 3 marks. That's a real strong showing.
It was an all right showing. No, he did a pretty good role, and considering he was probably our best key forward, considering Marek didn't play.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben Lennon had a good game. 16 disposals.
Lennon did have a good game, but I was saying Marek didn't play, Vickery didn't play, Griffiths I don't think played. So
Deledio or Koch and all them.
No, but I meant that he had to present as that, and Riewoldt didn't play. He had to present as that main full forward, and which he probably hasn't done at an AFL level before. He hasn't done that. So, good on him for doing that.
Absolutely. I want to talk about quickly Kane Lambert.
One player. I just want to. He actually.
Kane Lambert had a great game.
Mention Kane Lambert. He had a great game.
Coming off the rookie list.
Yeah, mature age rookie. That's the player I was going to mention. Mature age rookie. Right.
You're all over the place.
And he did pretty well as well. He had a really good game as well.
Absolutely.
Up there with Anthony Miles. I think he was our second best on ground.
He only had 15 disposals, but I think he was far more effective than what he showed.
Yeah, but I think he was like in our best status. He was second best or something.
Taylor Hunt had 18 disposals as well, coming from Geelong.
Not too efficient. I don't think.
No, I don't think. I don't think.
At the same time, not a bad recruit there.
Absolutely.
Let's press on.
You're done talking about Richmond?
I'm done talking about Richmond. If you want to talk about St Kilda, I'm going to talk about Richmond.
So the next game was up in Townsville, and it was a really good showing, as I said, by Gold Coast. No Ablett. There was a plethora of stars out, and I was really impressed by a young bloke who made it came up from the Hawks, Mitch Hallahan. He had 23 disposals. Did really well. Really good performance. Zach Smith had a blinder. Captain for the day, Michael Riscatelli, had 21 disposals. Harley Bennell, 16. So they're spreading it out over the young fellas.
I think Riscatelli has probably been one of their best recruits from their first year. He's stayed there for the whole time so far. A lot of their players from that first season aren't there anymore. Like the mature age recruits. So, he's a really good player, and he's been a good player for a while. He was a couple of years ago in and out of the side, so I thought he was going to have an early end to his career, but he's done well to bounce back.
Absolutely. And how good's Jimmy Bartell? He had 27 disposals again. This bloke keeps on keeping on, you know?
That's right. And people were very critical with him last year about his performances. So I think, another standout season would be great for Bartell.
Stephen Motlop had 23, and it was really good to see Mitch Clark get back out on the park. 2 goals late, and you could see he was pumped about it as well.
Yeah, he would be. He's been out of the game for a year, and he didn't play much for the 2 years before that with Melbourne, so good to see him back.
Absolutely. We've got one more game to go through for NAB Challenge Week 1, and then I'm going to get some tips off you. Mm-hmm. North Melbourne played Adelaide. Adelaide obviously won by 10 points. Eddie Betts, 4 goals.
Yeah, good effort.
Great
Very
start.
Good effort.
Great start.
Especially for a crumbing forward. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Brad Crouch had a good game, 19 handballs, 7 kicks, so that's a pretty solid showing from the big fella. Rory Sloan was in their best as well with 15 disposals, and Mitch Grigg had 14 of his own as well. Taylor Walker, the captain, had a pretty strong showing at the same time.
Good to see him back as well. I love that. He is definitely the best forward that Adelaide's had, in my opinion.
And now he's captain.
Poor Burton.
You were struggling to find names there, weren't you?
No. I knew his name. I got his first name, but I couldn't think of his last name.
The Birdman.
The Birdman. He was a freak.
What about Modra?
No, Burton was after Modra.
No, he wasn't.
Burton.
Sorry. He was
after Modra.
But you said he's the best forward you've seen
since Burton. At Adelaide. Since Burton.
Yeah, but I think that Modra was a better forward.
Modra was a better forward.
We'll agree to disagree.
Hang on. I didn't say that. I just said that Taylor Walker is the best one since Brett Burton. I didn't say he was better than Modra because Burton was after Modra.
Shush, we're getting the wind up.
You're an idiot.
We've got to go. You're the idiot. You don't know these people's names.
I got it right.
You spoke earlier about Sean Higgins. He kicked 3 goals, and as did Jared Waite. So really good by them.
That's right. Yeah, that great performance by them. They were great pickups by North Melbourne. By North Melbourne. 3 goals apiece. Hopefully Jared Waite stays uninjured. He was Carlton's leading goal kicker still last year, so was a good pickup.
Nicky Del Santo had 18 disposals. Really good to see him in some good form early. Brent Harvey had a good game. Kane Turner, the young fella, had 15, and Jack Zabel had 14 coming back off the injury last season. No? Nothing else to say. Just while I get the games up.
Yeah, nothing else to say really.
I'm working with an absolute idiot.
Sean Higgins. Sean Higgins is another great recruit by them. Del Santo, we know what a star he is. We know he's a champion. And Boomer Harvey, do you think it's his last year? 18? Is it 18th or 19th year this year?
I don't know. I reckon
how old am I?
He'll play his 400th this year.
Yeah, he'll play his 400th hopefully this year.
He might be like Dustin Fletcher and just keep going until.
It might be. Well, Dustin Fletcher hasn't played 400 either. It's the first time 2 players are going to reach 400 games in the same season.
Which will be exciting
right.
in our lifetime to see someone reach 400 as well.
Yeah. I think the last player was Michael Tuck in 91, so a bit before us.
Yeah, exactly. So quickly, we'll go through NAB Challenge Week 2 games. Starts on Thursday night. Freeman will get their campaign underway against Melbourne. What do you reckon? Who's going to win? You can never pick these things in NAB Challenge.
You can never pick it. Mate. They probably won't put out their best list, but I can't see Freo losing. I think they're just a better drilled side than Melbourne are.
Yeah, I think Melbourne will put their best foot forward and put out a pretty good side.
And still lose.
Obviously, they might throw in Angus Brayshaw, the young fella, number 3 draft pick. So I think they'll have a crack, but I think Freo they'll be keen to get the season off to a good start, even NAB Challenge. Sydney are taking on Brisbane.
I can't see the Lions defeating him by 3 points. I can't see the Lions getting anywhere near them. They're going to be hurting after that grand final loss, and I reckon they're going to come out all guns blazing. Yeah,
I agree. I think they won't play their best team. Obviously, they don't want to get too many injuries. I'm excited to see a few young fellas come in and play. Isaac Heaney, obviously. Xavier Richards is going to be an absolute star. There's a couple others in there. Hiscock, I think that's how you pronounce it. And I want to see Sam Naismith in the ruck as well. So there's a bit of talent there in the Sydney Swans side coming through. I think they'll be too strong for Brisbane as well. Brisbane have a few issues at the moment, but you never know. GWS are taking on Gold Coast.
Interesting one. GWS had an improved season for the first half of the year. They let it slip in the second half of the year, but I think the Gold Coast will win. I can't see them losing, but at the same time, you never know with GWS. They did improve quite substantially at the start of last year.
Absolutely, I agree. I think Gold Coast will beat them if they can beat a pretty much almost full strength Geelong. Then they can beat GWS. I'm pretty sure. It'd be interesting to see. Excuse me, if Ryan Griffin plays. Obviously coming across from the Bulldogs, partnering with Callan Ward. So I think they'll put a good showing forth, but I think Gold Coast will win. Essendon are taking on St Kilda. There was a bit of controversy around this game. There's going to be five or six top-up players. Clint Jones, James Magner, Mitch Brown, Jared Petrenko. There's also one from the Sandful. His name eludes me at the moment, but what do you reckon? Can Essendon still beat St Kilda?
I think they will. Clint Jones playing against his former side. So
trying to get his career back on track.
That'd be pretty cool if he could. But at the same time, he'd obviously have to have a pretty good standout performance in the VFL. But, I think they'll win, but not by too much. St Kilda did well.
I'm backing my boys into to beat them this week. Obviously, it doesn't matter all that much, but it'll be good for the confidence of the Saints. So I think we'll get the job done. Port Adelaide, quickly, we're going to get through these last two games. Port Adelaide are playing West Coast, and North Melbourne are playing Hawthorn.
Port Adelaide will beat West Coast, and I think the Hawks will beat North.
Absolutely. I agree with... Actually, I think North will beat Hawthorn this week. I think North might come out with a bit of a better mentality, and they'll beat the Hawks this week. So
fair enough.
That's all we got time for this week. Thank you for tuning in. Keep clicking back. Remember to subscribe and like our Facebook page as well. I'm John Donohoe. He's Peter Tseros. Thanks for listening.